Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Alex Cuesta Daily Show. How is everybody doing out there on this Friday evening, February 4th, 2022? I'm doing well, looking to round out the week, have some fun here, talk about another article, and, just having a grand old time heading into the weekend. So I hope everyone had a good week so far. I know I did. And we're going to round out this one the right way. So before we get going with anything that has to do with the actual show, got to remind everyone, like, share, follow, subscribe. Please rate 5 stars on any of the streaming networks that you're listening to and continue to spread this word of mouth. If you like what's going on here, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your parents, tell your loved ones, tell your in-laws, tell everybody. Again, social media. If you want to find it, go search The Alex Cuesta Show. Wherever you have a social, we will be there. Now, I said yesterday I'm going to start a new thing, and I am sticking to it because if you didn't notice, all of the COVID case trackers are gone from the corporate media. All of the COVID death trackers are gone from the corporate media, including Fox, including people, Fox's corporate media, contrary to popular belief. They are. So it's all gone. So I am here. I am doing the job of the people, and I am going to continue with the COVID tracker because it was such a big deal. It was so important under Donald Trump. We have to hold presidents to account, right? Isn't that the thing that we're supposed to do? So let's do it. Now, I want to remind everybody, and I'll remind everyone probably at least once a week, when Joe Biden took power right around January 20th, 2020, that was the day where essentially he assumed the role completely, the 20th. He was left with 24,496,018 COVID-19 cases and 401,823 deaths on the record there on that day. So again, a lot of cases, a lot of deaths. No one's trying to hide that fact that it was dead serious. Now, he had to deal with 2 variants. I am going to give him that. He had to deal with the Delta variant. He's dealing with Omicron. Both more contagious, but I'm not giving him a pass. This is a man that came in with bluster. This is a man that came in with confidence. He had a plan. He knew how to beat it. He was going to stop it. He was going to get COVID-19 out of our lives, and we were going to go back to a sense of normalcy. Now they're calling for a new normal, and they're not going to stop it. So I'm here to remind you that as of today, February 4th, 2022, we have now 69,409 cases and 897,881 deaths. This is an increase from yesterday's total. There's 313,772 more cases and 3,565 more deaths than yesterday. So I'm going to remind people of that. And where I get my data is I go into Bing. I use Bing because for whatever reason on my computer, Microsoft Edge is actually usable. They basically carbon copied Google Chrome. So it looks exactly like Chrome. So I just use it and they use the Bing engine. All I do is type in COVID cases USA and it pops up. They get their data from the CDC and a bunch of other sources. They said that here's the thing. Data is collected from multiple sources that update at different times and may not always align. Some locations may not provide complete information. So that's where they get it from. I tried to look at Google. They give more of a roundabout. They said 76.2 million cases and 900,000 deaths. So they kind of round it out. I didn't want the round out. I wanted a little more accurate. I looked at both and this is fine. It's accurate enough where they're both saying generally the same thing, except that the Bing information is a little more detailed. So again, there you go. There's your math there. There's your reminder that Joe Biden hasn't eradicated COVID-19, hasn't done what he was supposed to do, what he said he was going to do. And the man has had all the weapons. He has the vaccine, quote unquote. He has treatments. There's a lot more knowledge about it. Even with the variants, we understand these things a lot quicker. So he's coming in with the full war chest where Trump had to build the war chest. Let's remind everybody. So no excuses for Joe Biden. He is overseeing a very bad response to COVID-19. And as you heard yesterday, if you listen, he has no plans on actually making it an endemic, and he has no plans on beating it anymore. He just wants to make a new normal. Just learn to live with it. So here we are. So every day that I'm on, I will be giving you the Biden tracker here because We deserve to know. If it was such a big deal for all of 2020, it is going to continue to be a big deal as we continue to deal with this. So we're going to jump right in today to our news story, COVID-19 related. What isn't COVID-19 related anymore? It's a quicker story since I gave you guys a marathon yesterday. I bombarded you with 2 stories. I'm going to give you something quicker. We'll be in, we'll be out. It'll be a good time. We'll be fun. We'll get to our weekends. How's that sound? Sounds good? Let's get going. This article comes from The Hill, written by Judy Kurtz. Shaquille O'Neal says people shouldn't be forced to get COVID-19 vaccine. Now, I looked at this topic. I looked up on a lot of different sources, and everyone had generally the same thing. Definitely some places have slight edge and slant towards other ways. This one's supposed to be a news story, so let's read it. And if it's not a news story, I'm going to call it out. If there's opinion in here, it's getting called out. I read it. I'm reading it over again with you, so I might catch things that I didn't see then. So let's get going in this. Shaquille O'Neal says he's sympathetic towards people who defy vaccine mandates and that workers shouldn't be forced to choose between their jobs and getting a shot. Quote, I encourage everybody to be safe and take care of your family. I do. The former Los Angeles Lakers star said Thursday on the Big Podcast with Shaq. But it's just people don't want to take it. And you shouldn't be forced to take something you don't want, O'Neal said, referring to COVID-19 vaccines, which protect against being hospitalized or dying from the coronavirus. Just from that right there, that's, Shaq's giving a pretty based response there. And I give Shaq credit for going out on that limb. Something as simple as, people shouldn't be forced to do shit is now something that's brave to say, which is insane. That you should not be forced to get a needle stuck into your arm with an irreversible dose of a medical a medical procedure. You shouldn't be forced to get a medical procedure done on you to participate in society or to keep your job. Let's keep going. The Basketball Hall of Famer's remarks came up as a discussion with co-host Nichelle Turner and former San Francisco 49ers player Anthony Spice Adams on the recent arrest of 2 Long Island nurses who were accused of making more than $1.5 million off of forged COVID-19 vaccination cards. Don't send them to jail, O'Neal, who last year criticized Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving for voicing hesitancy toward the COVID-19 vaccine, exclaimed. Now, I'm going to stop right there because I saw this in every article, and I think they're trying to conflate 2 different things here. What Shaquille O'Neal was talking about here is that people should not be forced to get the jab, to get the shot, to get boosters, to keep their jobs, or at all. They shouldn't be forced to get it. When he was criticizing Kyrie last year, they were asking about Shaq the player, not Shaq the person. They weren't asking Shaq for his personal beliefs on the vaccine. They were asking how, as a player in the locker room, how would he respond to Kyrie Irving not getting the shot? They're 2 very different things. Because his response last year was he'd have a problem with the guy that's not getting the shot to be with the team, especially a team with championship aspirations. He said he'd have to put hands on him, tell him to get his ass up out of here, go upstairs, tell him to get him out of there. But that's the basketball guy talking. That's the basketball guy talking. That's not, they didn't ask him, how do you feel about them? They didn't ask him, do you think everybody should be forced? Because he even said, Kyrie has his thing. I'm not going to go against him. I'm paraphrasing here. He has his thing. He has his reasons. He has his opinions. He has the right to, do what he wants to do with his body. But as a player, I'd have a problem in the locker room with him not being all in. And that's how a lot of people see what Kyrie is doing. But he wasn't criticizing Kyrie for not getting the shot, not getting the shot in a way that he thinks everyone needs to get it or everyone should be forced to get it. He was criticizing him from a basketball standpoint of, man, we have a chance to do good things here, and you're not going to buy in all the way. You're going to put your personal beliefs over the team. I tend to side with Kyrie on all accounts. Fuck the team. Fuck New There shouldn't be a mandate. That's where people miss this on me. We're all talking Kyrie. What about New York City? New York City shouldn't have a mandate, especially when they're letting unvaccinated people from outside the city come in to do shit. That's the problem with it. The biggest problem is, number one, there shouldn't be a mandate at all. That's the biggest problem. Second problem is you're letting unvaccinated people come into the same venues you're keeping Kyrie Irving out of. An unvaccinated person can go and perform in the Barclays Center, but Kyrie Irving can't go do his job in the Barclays Center. It doesn't make sense. It's a bullshit policy. And that's what I want to bring up with O'Neal there. He's not talking about Kyrie's decision or his belief to not get the vaccination. He was talking about it from as a basketball player. He'd be pissed that an integral part of the team wouldn't be there for half the games. Let's keep going with the article. I'm going to probably get in trouble for this, O'Neal continued, offering a hypothetical situation involving a fictional coworker of Entertainment Tonight co-host Turner. Say, Nichelle, your sound guy at ET been working for 10 years. That job is all you know. Let's just say ET puts a new policy. If you don't get the vaccination, you're going to lose your job, O'Neal said, suggesting it was unfair for people to choose between their livelihoods and going against their morals to be getting vaccinated, which is wholly right. It's coercion. It's not right. You should not. It's a quid pro quo, which I thought was the worst thing on the planet. Didn't we hear that all during the Trump presidency with the Ukraine bullshit? Quid pro quos are so bad. And now everyone's so cool with people doing quid pro quo. You do this and this gets to happen. Are you fucking serious? And this is even worse, technically. Ukraine, no one gives a fuck about Ukraine. We're seeing that on the left and the right. Everyone's kind of like, we don't care about Ukraine. Let Russia have them. I tend to be against that, but that has been the attitude of a lot of people. And that was the attitude during Trump. Quid pro quo is so terrible. It's awful. Now, all of these fucking people are just like, yep, quid pro quos are cool. Get the jab or you're out. Like, people think that everyone has short memories, and apparently everyone does have short memories because no one's bringing this shit up. Let's keep going. Turner countered, saying that she wholeheartedly disagreed with O'Neal. You're not just affecting yourself, Turner said. You're putting the public at risk, and it's a public health issue. So this just shows that Nichelle Turner's an idiot. We have but it's not surprising. She's in the media. You are just affecting yourself. You're making the decision to not get a pre-treatment. And according to what we were told before all this, if you had the vaccination, you were just fine. You're not at risk. If you get it, it'll be very mild, and you can't give it to people. Omicron's changed that game. You can get it. You can get sick. You're probably not going to be in the hospital. More than likely not going to die if you have the pre-treatment. And you can give it to people. The game's changed. All this rhetoric bullshit that they keep putting out there means nothing. Because you can get it and pass it with these vaccinations as easily as you can get it and pass it if you don't have a vaccination. So there's no justification for having an authoritarian view anymore. Let's keep going here. More than 85,000 people have died from COVID-19 in the United States since the beginning of the pandemic. Quote, you work for a private company, bro, Turner continued. We're a capitalist society. It's a free market society. If you don't want to follow that company's policy, then you follow yourself out the door. And that's not true. We're not allowed to do quid pro quos. That is, been illegal for a long time now. For a long time, because bosses would overuse their power. And this is mostly in the case of sexual harassment against women, but it's brought in here now too. Because it used to be quid pro quos against women. You do this sexual favor for me and you keep your job. How is this that much different? You get the vaccine and you get to keep your job. If not, you're fired. If you don't blow me, you're fired. Again, one's a sexual act that can eventually be permanent if they get impregnated and they don't abort it. But the other is guaranteed to be permanent. So yes, this is illegal. There's precedent for this being illegal as a quid pro quo. Not a lawyer. This is just me thinking out loud, but there has to be precedent as a quid pro quo. You need to do this or else. I don't think there's any better analogy there. Let's keep going. We're going to finish up soon. I'm with you on the rules because I'm a rules guy, O'Neal agreed. But I do feel sympathetic towards people who have to make that kind of decision. I don't, Turner said, not when you're putting other people at risk. So again, Nichelle Turner's an idiot. Not when you're putting other people at risk. Man, shut up. Just shut up. Like I'm curious. Were any of them wearing masks? Was Nichelle Turner wearing a mask this whole time? We're told that masks help so much. So I'm hoping Nichelle and, a big Spice Adams and Shaq were all wearing masks during this. If not, you're putting each other at risk, Nichelle, you friggin' hypocrite. So, I'm happy Shaq stood up. I'm hoping I cleared up some context because everyone's saying after criticizing Kyrie Irving and a bunch of these places had quotes about what he said about it. And it basically is what I said. As a player, he would have been mad. And now I want to read something. I was looking for it and I found it, notthebee.com. The article was rejected. Shaq unleashes fire on vax mandates, exposes the forced jab agenda. The title's a little much. Hamilton Porter wrote it from Not the Bee. Not a fan of that title. I think it's a little extra. Shaq didn't go super far there. He was still towing the line of saying you really should get this. I don't want to offend anybody. So it's not like he came out and wholeheartedly was like, no, don't do this ever. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't like, but he did come out and he was pretty strong with Turner in their conversation. They don't put it in the Hill. I'm going to read this. It's a snippet from the show. And maybe I'll play. I never play things on the show. Maybe I will play the snippet here. It's actually the snippet that they have here is coming from Fox News. I didn't listen to it before, so I don't know what's going to happen here, but let's see what goes on. Let's see if we can play this and listen. No, hold on. I have the tab muted because I didn't want it to make any noise at me. So maybe that would be smart if I unmute it. So let's see if we can get Shaq in his own words here. Ready? Let's go.
Look, I encourage everybody to be safe and take care of your family. I do. But there's still some people that don't want to take it. And you shouldn't have to be forced to take something that you don't want. So
I don't think people are being forced to take. Well, there are some. Listen, we have a mandate at CBS.
That's force.
We have a mandate at CBS. But my point.
That's force.
But where I wholeheartedly.
That's force.
No, it's not force.
It is force because if the man don't take it, the man gonna get fired.
And there you go. That is Shaquille O'Neal. It was pretty forceful. I'm not gonna lie. Just hearing the way he was saying it, it was pretty forceful. And you even hear Nichelle Turner have to back up and say, oh, we have a mandate at CBS. And it's like, okay, it's a mandate. A mandate by its nature is something that is forced upon you. It's it's mandatory to do or else. So again, Nichelle Turner showing her stupidity in this argument that she got her ass kicked by Shaq in. And, Shaq is 100% right. It is forced. Everything about going on today is coerced and forced with this vaccination and with mask wearing right now. It's all shaming and it's all, it's pretty abhorrent. Not going to lie with the way that we're handling this as a society. Not necessarily the fact that we rolled out the pre-treatments, not necessarily the fact that we've encouraged mask wearing, even though it doesn't do shit, just makes people feel better. Take the fucking masks off. But he's 100% right. It's forced. It's coercion. It's quid pro quo when it comes to a quote unquote private company. And again, I don't want to hear from you libertarian types because unless you're down with quid pro quos, unless you think private companies should be able to do quid pro quos, then you should be against this. If you think the quid pro quo statute, I'm going to look that up, quid pro quo law, because quid pro quos aren't right. Quid pro quo harassment definition. Let's see here. Quid pro quo harassment, Latin term that translates something for something. It's a trade, this for that. In sexual harassment context, quid pro quo means to offer something in return for a sexual favor. So, it's you get in a sense, a quid pro quo, a favor for a favor. You get this job and you get to keep your job. It's you do something for me and then you get something. So that's what it is. It's not. It's more of a blunt one. Maybe quid pro quo isn't the best, but it's definitely an example of, a quid pro quo in a loose sense, but still it's bad. We coerce people to get this and we're doing it on a massive scale and it is authoritarian. It is terrible. Anyone that doesn't think so is a fool, but all right, I told you guys I'd let you guys out quick. I could probably go on more and more and more about this, but no, I'm not going back on my quid pro quo. It is a friggin' quid pro quo. Get this, or maybe ultimatum. Ultimatum is maybe a better. We give people ultimatums, and that's also not right. Get this or else. That is wrong, and that's coercion. Don't do it. Don't do it to people, and don't let people do it to you. If a job tells you to do that, tell them to fuck off. I'll see you in court, because that's all it should be. That's all you should do. So, all right, everybody. I appreciate you all for listening. I hope my audio sound there came through well. It's the first time I ever did that. So that's going to be fun. I want to thank everyone for listening. As always, I hope you all have a great weekend. If you like what you hear again, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate us 5 stars on all the podcasting networks, spread us word of mouth, and go find us on socials, The Alex Cuesta Show. Give it a search. You'll find it. Again, Everyone, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you all Monday. So long.